Well, folks, welcome into another Locked On Phillies. The Phils lose Game 6 to the Diamondbacks. It all comes down to this. A winner-take-all Game 7 to go to the World Series. The game's at the bank. Ranger Suarez is on the mound. Do the Phillies have what it takes? We're wiping Game 6. We're focusing on Game 7. How do the Phillies still overcome everything they've given up and make it to the World Series? We'll discuss on today's episode of Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm Connor Thomas, your host. Thank you so much for joining us. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that good stuff. Appreciate that. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. Well, the Phillies had a chance to close it out yesterday. Aaron Nola didn't get the job done on the mound. The offense didn't get the job done at the plate. It was a miserable performance. They lose. It was lackluster. It was disheartening. There are a lot of ways to describe last night's game. Bottom line, you have Game 7, and that's what we're talking about today. Game 7 tonight, 8:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Phillies season hanging in the balance. The World Series is the reward. What a moment to be in. What a stressful moment. I'm already my chest is already hurting me, just sitting here thinking about the game, just how much stress there's going to be and how much all of us as Phillies fans and these players and this organization has put into this season and the stuff they've gone through to get this close and now just need one more. But one more loss means they're going to be heading home. I mean, it's going to be tough. 8:07 p.m. is first pitch time. You can listen to every pitch of the Phillies, Diamondbacks, Game 7, the NLCS, the hometown radio broadcast of the Phillies. Just go to the SXM app and search Phillies, and you'll be able to pull that up. So, yes, go ahead and check them out on SiriusXM. And, man, I'm very, very nervous about the night, and not because I don't think the Phillies are prepared and not because I don't think the Phillies are capable, but because it's a Game 7. This is something that we have never seen before in the history of the Philadelphia Phillies. They have never once in their over 100-year history ever faced a Game 7 in the playoffs. They've never faced it, not once. This is new territory, not the 08-09 core, not the team back in the 80s, not the 93 team. No Phillies team ever has faced a Game 7 in the postseason. So we're in uncharted waters, ladies and gentlemen. And so let me break this down for you. If you're just a Phillies fan, I know a lot of people listening are Philadelphia sports fans in general. So you might remember a Sixers Game 7 or a Flyers Game 7, something like that. Every Eagles game basically feels like a Game 7 in the postseason because it's win or go home. But let me just talk you through a Game 7 baseball-wise and how exactly things are different. Everybody's available besides Aaron Nola. Rob Thompson talked last night, and he said that every pitcher besides Aaron Nola, it's all hands on deck, are going to be available to throw. It's not because Aaron Nola stinks. It's because he threw yesterday. He was the starter, okay? I think we all get that. And all hands on deck means you might see Zach Wheeler out of the pen, Taijuan Walker. I mean, you could see Christopher Sanchez. Who knows how long Ranger Suarez is going to go. The Phillies did a nice job yesterday when they realized that game was not going their way to save some of their higher leverage arms for tonight. Everybody's available, though. Everybody. I mean, who knows who's going to pitch or in what order? That's on Rob Thompson. The managers have a very tough job in a Game 7 of how to handle who goes in when with the pitching decisions, and also pinch hitting, defensive replacements, pinch running, all this stuff. I mean, yeah, this is huge. This is your season hanging in the balance. We could see a pinch hitter in the second inning, third inning. You could see a defensive replacement in the fourth inning. Anything can happen at any time when it comes to strategy. All that goes out the window. It's a flow of the game. It's playing to win. It's burning everything out to try and win this one. We already know who your opponent would be. Texas Rangers won Game 7 in the ALCS. This is only the fourth time in the history of baseball that a league championship series has gone 7 games on both sides of the bracket. The other times were 2020, 2004, and 2003. So, yeah, this is not something you see very often where you get 2 Game 7s on back-to-back nights. And the Phillies now have a chance to do what the Astros failed to do last night in protecting home field. Now, that series was different because the road team won every single game in that series, which is wild. I've never seen that before. 7 games, road team wins all of them, like nuts. But the Phillies have a lot still going their way, right, when you look at Game 7. So let's start with the pitching matchup. Ranger Suarez versus Brandon Pfaadt. I know Pfaadt was very good against the Phillies before, and we were like, how in the world did that happen? Well, when something that seems like an anomaly happens and you face that pitcher again, they're probably not going to do it a second time. And that was also in Arizona. This time, you're in Philadelphia. You're at Citizens Bank Park. You're a young pitcher, 25 years of age, a rookie who's being thrust into this position with a Game 7. Like, that's huge pressure. So, advantage to the guy who's been there before in Ranger Suarez. Advantage to the more veteran pitcher, Ranger Suarez. Advantage to the better pitcher, Ranger Suarez. He has the lowest ERA of anyone, minimum 5 appearances in the postseason in the history of baseball. Like, he's got a sub-1 postseason ERA in 8 appearances. Ranger Suarez is ready to go. Like, he is very, very cool and collected. He has the demeanor of a guy you want throwing in Game 7. Like, I always thought, like, Roy Halladay was the best pitcher on those late 2000s teams or the early 2010s teams. But Cliff Lee was kind of the guy that you wanted in a huge pressure spot because he just never broke. You saw that in the World Series when he was battling. Now, I know he let you down, but I'm just saying, like, the demeanor. Roy Halladay was intense. Cliff Lee was, aloof almost in huge spots, which is kind of what Ranger Suarez is. You see the way when he fields the baseball, he just takes his time, tosses it over to first, like takes some time and looks at it. Oh, there's a guy running. All right, whoop. Like, he's so calm in big spots. He's the guy that, like, you would want. If you can't have Wheeler, I'd want Ranger Suarez in Game 7. So you have that going for you. The pitching matchup is in your favor. The other thing we talked about with Brandon Pfaadt, like how he did it once and it was so weird to see it. And then you're like, well, what are the chances he does it again? The Phillies offense yesterday in Game 6, Harper, Turner, Schwarber, Castellanos, Realmuto combined for 1 hit between all of them. Do you see that happening again? Do you think that's really going to repeat itself in a Game 7? Because I don't think there's any physically possible way in reality that happens again. It doesn't mean they're going to be like great again. They're going to win 10-0 again. No, but it means that it's not likely that they have 2 of those performances in a row. You're also seeing Brandon Pfaadt for a second time. I know you saw Merrill Kelly for a second time, and Merrill Kelly's a better pitcher than Pfaadt. Those are 2 bona fide great starting pitchers that they have in Gallen and Kelly. Now, you're looking at a situation where you get the rook. You get an unproven guy, and it's like, okay, you have to take advantage offensively. I have something that I want to talk about coming up about the offensive approach as well of the Philadelphia Phillies, because I got this question a couple times on the radio yesterday. I got it actually at the bar after I got done my shift on air. There have been multiple people who have asked me this, so I want to break this down, and I want to talk to you about the mentality heading into a Game 7 because it has to do with this question that I keep getting from people. So we'll talk about that coming up as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. First, though, I want to tell you about FanDuel. October baseball, you got a Game 7 tonight. You know it's here. And you can make your postseason debut with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join FanDuel today, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to create your new account. Then you can get in on the action from the first pitch until the final out. Bet on everything from strikeouts to home runs to who will win the game. Now, I'm not eligible for this because I've been to FanDuel, I've used FanDuel forever. Like, I love FanDuel. That's my favorite sportsbook of choice. Absolutely. But I went, and you could certainly bet on who will win the game. I can guarantee, because I emptied my account. I bet every last cent I have left in that account on the Philadelphia Phillies money line. That's not advice. That's not me saying you should do that. That's just telling you what I did and what you're capable of doing on FanDuel. You can bet whatever you want tonight in a huge Game 7. Make it interesting. It's already very interesting. But if you don't want to wait the whole game to get a W, predict what will happen in the next at-bat with quick bets. So head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now. Step up to the plate this postseason with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Phillies Diamondbacks, Game 7, 8:07 p.m. tonight. You can listen to every pitch of the Phillies broadcast of that game, Phillies radio broadcast, I should say, on the SiriusXM app. Just go to the SXM app and search Phillies, and you'll be able to hear that. Now, it goes without saying how big tonight's game is. I'd call it a must-win. I think a lot of people out there would agree. But that's the thing, right? People were asking me after what happened in Game 6, because the evaluation I was hearing from a lot of people in Game 6, I think, is fair. The approach at the plate was too aggressive. Aaron Nola didn't get off to a good enough start. Took the air out of the building. Diamondbacks choked you out. That's kind of how that works. Like, that's how that game went in Game 6. I'm trying to mention it as little as possible and just focus on Game 7 because you can't change it. It's how you bounce back from it. That's the mentality the team has to have. That's the mentality the fan base has to have. Because if you're going down to this game tonight, you got to be up and ready to roll. You got to be loud as anything. But I had a couple people ask me, well, or not even ask me, tell me almost, they swing for the fences. They were trying to hit home runs. They're not creating run-scoring opportunities, and it's leading to them having bad approaches at the plate. They need to change that in Game 7. And I understand where you're coming from because that is part of the reason why they lost Game 6. You absolutely can't change it going into Game 7. You cannot. This team is a home run-centric team. That is what they are. Think about it. Imagine that you were playing, like, let's just use a different sport for an example. We're all football fans, right? Probably all Eagles fans, or a lot of us. Imagine the Eagles are a pass-heavy team all year. Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball all over the field. They're throwing for like 300 yards every game through the air. And they get to the Super Bowl. In the first half, it's like you can't pass. Do you automatically shift to running the football, or do you try and find a way to have a better approach to passing it? It's what you do well. In the biggest moments, you have to stick with what you've done well. I'm not saying don't change the lineup. I'm not saying don't reevaluate how you've handled pitchers, but the overall philosophy of this team, how this team wins, is by creating explosive offense, ringing the bell, ball go boom, like you've seen it all over social media all year. So now you're telling me in the biggest spot of their season, you want them to turn into an average team? You want them to turn into a small ball team, a station-to-station team? That is not who they're built to be. That is not how they got here. And just because we have our backs up against the wall doesn't mean all of a sudden you change the fabric of how this team approaches hitting. Do they need to have a better approach? Absolutely. I'm not saying they can't hit for average. I'm not saying they shouldn't try to, at points, like, move runners up, but you cannot be like, okay, stop trying to hit home runs. You cannot be less aggressive at the plate when it comes to attacking go zones and finding pitches in those spots to drive the baseball. Like, you cannot change up your approach to this game. Rob Thompson talked last night after the game. He said the goal is you treat it like another day, just another day. You go there, you try and stay loose, you try and stay focused, you're trying to win a baseball game just like you have been a bunch of times before. So that's the thing. You don't go in and you don't say, okay, well, I got to be super patient at the plate. I got to try and put together long at bats, because next thing you know, you get a pitcher who's throwing strikes, bang, bang, 0-2. You're swinging it crap all over the place, and next thing you know, you're out. Like, just continue to have the approach that you basically had all postseason. It was a little aggressive yesterday. Okay, dialed that back a bit, but you can't turn from being a home run hitting team into not a home run hitting team just because you're in a Game 7. If this team does not hit home runs, they do not win baseball games. If they do hit home runs, they do win baseball games. That's how they've been built. And maybe to you, that's a stressful way to watch baseball. Maybe to you, that's not the most prudent way to build a baseball team. And those are different conversations that we can have at some point. But the fact of the matter is, that is how this baseball team was built. That is how they've had success. That is how they've gotten here to one win away from the World Series. And that is how they're going to make the World Series if they do, by hitting the ball out of the yard and having strong starting pitching. That's it. It's a fact of the matter. So if you're sitting there like, I'm so tired of watching them try and hit home runs, sorry, folks. That's the team you signed up for this year. That's how they were built, and that's how they're going to have to go out and attack Brandon Pfaadt and this Diamondbacks team. Like, you have to be able to hit the ball out of the yard. Last night, no homers. I mean, you had a couple from Arizona, and it got him going early off Aaron Nola. He gives up back-to-back homers to Tommy Pham and Lourdes Gurriel, and then a ring double to Evan Longoria. And from that point, I mean, game felt over. Like, the adversity that Aaron Nola faces, he didn't deal with it well, and the offense didn't battle back well, and the fan base, didn't have anything to get up and excited about to make the Diamondbacks uncomfortable. And at the end of the day, you just kind of got choked out. But this is the thing. That's why you fought so hard for Game 5. That's why you fought so hard for the first 2. That's why you had the advantage, because you could afford a slip up in Game 6. And now you come back out in Game 7, rested, your top arms, you're ready to go. Like, this is as good of a scenario as you could have hoped for in a Game 7. You'd rather not be in a Game 7, but if you're going to be in a Game 7, you'd rather it be at home with a pitcher you trust more than their pitcher on the mound, with your top bullpen arms rested, just had 2 days off. And, I mean, you're looking at a situation where, okay, the fan base should be behind us if we score early. We trust the pitcher. We trust our bullpen. Our offense is better. Our manager's better. Our fan base is better. Our record is better. We have the home field advantage. All this stuff is so much in the Philadelphia Phillies' favor. That's why they're the better team. That's why they're favored in the game tonight. That's why all this stuff points in their direction. And it's just, okay, anything can happen in Game 7. There's an element of randomness to it. Okay, ball bounces weird ways. Who knows? Guys throw at weird spots. Who knows? One home run could be a difference. I mean, baseball's a weird sport to begin with, but in Game 7 where it's winner takes all, like, that's crazy. The amount of stress and the amount of just impact that rests on every pitch, every swing of the bat. All of that is huge. So you can't predict it. You can't go in and say, well, we're going to be fine. We're going to win Game 7. All you can do is put yourself in the best case scenario, the best possible situation going into a Game 7, and then you hope that things go your way. And the Phillies, despite losing Game 6, have put themselves in the best case scenario for Game 7. It really is. You can't ask for anything more than this. Short of Zach Wheeler being available to pitch, and he is out of the pen, you can't ask for anything more than this from the Philadelphia Phillies as far as positioning. So wipe Game 6. Forget about it. I get how you got here was annoying, but I want you to think about it this way. Think back to October, and when the Phillies found out they had clinched the top wildcard seed, and they knew who was behind it. Miami in the middle, Arizona, the final team into the postseason in the National League. If you had told Phillies fans then, not how they got there, not who they played to get there, not what the series looked like, or not how Arizona had played, none of that, but just you have to play the Arizona Diamondbacks one game, you win it, you go to the World Series. I think everybody takes that at that time. Now, of course, you build all this momentum. You beat Miami, you beat Atlanta, you jump out early on Arizona. It makes you feel like you choked something away. But really, you have a golden opportunity tonight in Game 7 for the Philadelphia Phillies to advance to the World Series. It's not ideal because you should have wrapped up this series already. But a month ago, or when you take the circumstances out of it and you just look at the actual baseball to be played, I think we all would have taken this. That's the way you got to view it. You got to try and look at it with a positive mentality because it's the only way to approach it. You can't go in acting like you've already been beat. The Philadelphia Phillies are very much alive. They've won 3. The Diamondbacks have won 3. The trends of the series, the Phillies won the first 2. The Diamondbacks won the next 2. The Phillies stole a game on the road. The Diamondbacks stole a game on the road. It's a dead even trend too. So now you're in a Game 7 and who knows what happens. Like there's not even a trend to this. I had some people on the radio yesterday trying to tell me, oh, well, trends are in the Diamondbacks' favor. They're not. Phillies won 2 at home, lost 2 on the road, stole 1 on the road, lost 1 at home. Like it's the same exact thing for both sides. Now you're in a situation where we'll see what bends. We'll see what breaks. We'll see what team's ready for the moment. But I don't know. The other thing is you also have the number 1 ready for the moment guy in Bryce Harper. Who on the Diamondbacks do you feel like has that in them? Because I don't know if there's anybody. Maybe you might say Alec Thomas because he had 2 home runs in this series. But like who? Alec Thomas compared to Bryce Harper? You have the horses. You have the guys. Go out there and prove it. Earn your way to the World Series. And coming up, I want to talk a little bit about just the superstition and the emotions surrounding Game 7. We'll discuss as we wrap up today's episode of Locked On Phillies. All right. First, I want to talk to you about Gametime, okay? It's tough to get into the game tonight, but not if you go ahead and use my friends over at Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event, which is tonight, Game 7. It doesn't get bigger than that. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They cover everything for you. Anything you could ever worry about, Gametime takes care of it. You get to see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you don't have to worry about like hidden fees or anything like that. Tickets get to you quick. It's just 2 taps to buy them. They show up on your phone. You don't have to root through your email. It's so easy. And they have deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. So if you're running a little bit behind schedule, you need to find something last minute, Gametime is your place. So go ahead and check out Gametime. If you need to go to the NLCS Game 7 tonight, that's the absolute first place I'd look. And you could take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. We'll even give you $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, folks. I'm a very superstitious person. I don't know if you know this about me, but I played a little baseball back in my day. Never at the level that these guys are about to tonight, of course. Playing in a league championship series, Game 7 to go to the World Series. No, that's next level. But I'm very superstitious when it comes to the way I look at baseball games. You know, I have my victory shirt that I started wearing back in early June, right when the Phillies turned the season around. I hope I haven't worn it for the last time. But I also have another shirt. So my mom got me a T-shirt on my birthday. My birthday was October 3rd. It was the day of the first game against the Marlins. And this T-shirt shows up. She didn't even tell me she was getting it. She just told me I had a package downstairs that I needed to go get at my apartment building. I see it. And it's a nice red Take October T-shirt supporting the Phillies. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I set it on a chair in my apartment. It's right over there to my right. And I didn't wear it for game 1. I was like, okay, well, I just got it. I'm already dressed for the game. All good. Didn't wear it for game 2. Phillies sweep the Marlins. I'm like, okay. The shirt's still sitting on the chair. I didn't wear it for game 1 against the Braves. They win down in Atlanta. Now I'm like, oh, something interesting is going on here. And they go through and they find a way to win that series against Atlanta, and that shirt is still sitting on the chair. And I think it was right around the end of the Atlanta series, I realized, oh, I haven't touched that thing since I opened it. Like it's out of the package, but I haven't put it on or even considered wearing it. And I decided that I was going to save that shirt because you don't want to, like, my mom got me a gift. I want to wear it for the postseason. She got it for me for. Like, I don't want to just let it sit there and then wear it after the fact. Like, who knows when I'll ever wear that again? It's not the same when you're not rooting on your team for what the shirt represents, a postseason shirt for 2023. So I said I'll do one of two things. I'll either wear it for the first time when the Phillies' backs are against the wall, or if they don't ever face elimination, I'll wear it at the parade. Clearly, we know the latter is not an option as they face elimination tonight. I'll have the shirt on. Maybe there's some good like juju in that. Maybe there's something special about that. I don't know. The victory shirt people called me crazy for, and turns out they played like 600, 700 ball or whatever it was after I started wearing it. So I believe in the power of positive thinking. I believe in the power of doing stuff like that. And I think everybody tries to do their little routines to make them feel comfortable. And some people might bash it, but Game 7, man, sit in your lucky seat, wear your lucky shirt, do everything you have to do. Like, drink your lucky drink, be at your lucky bar. We need everybody pulling in the same direction for tonight. There can be no nervousness in this fan base. There can be no negativity in this fan base. There can be no doubt in this fan base. You have the better team. You have the better pitcher. You have the better manager. You have the better fan base. You have home field advantage. Like, all of this stuff is in your favor. And most importantly, maybe of all, you have number 3. You have Bryce Harper. Do you believe he's one of the most clutch baseball players of all time? Because I do, and he's on your team. This team, I've been fighting tooth and nail all year to try and say they're great, they're great, they're great, and even in moments where they haven't looked great, because I believed in the ceiling of this team. I believed in the potential. I have fought on their behalf, and they fought for themselves trying to win these games and make it to 90 wins and make the postseason, top wildcard seed, and get to this point. I refuse to believe that all that was just to collapse in the NLCS. No. And I don't know if they win this game, if they're winning the World Series. I'm not even focused on that yet. But I know that they did not do all that to lose to the Arizona Diamondbacks in Game 7. on their home field and allow a celebration at Citizens Bank Park that isn't led by Garrett Stubbs in overalls. I refuse to believe that that's a possibility. I'm zoned in. I'm focused. They are too. I need all of you out there as well as the Philadelphia Phillies fan base. 8:07 p.m. tonight, Eastern Standard Time. Phillies Diamondbacks. Again, you can hear every pitch on the SiriusXM app. Just go to the SXM app and search Phillies. And however you watch, listen to, or go to the game tonight, I need you as loud as possible. And I need you to treat it like you're fighting for your baseball lives. Because for the 2023 season, one that has had so many ups and downs and seemed to be such on a magical trajectory and still could be, that is the case. You're fighting for the life of your 2023 season. Tonight, we see what this team's got. Are they a good team that went on a good run? Or for the second straight year, will they dare to be great? We'll find out in just a couple of hours. That's all for today's episode of Locked On Phillies. Thank you so much. Hopefully, I've got the victory shirt on and I'm ecstatic tomorrow, and we're talking about the World Series. And the alternative, well, you know what it is. I'll see you on the other side, folks. And please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing, all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you next time on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.